Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's vOLTHA TST meeting. As usual, the call is public and recorded and will be shared live on YouTube. So please be mindful of the comments you make and the information you share. It will be live and public. So first of all, I wanted to bring up to everybody's attention the fact that thanks to the folks at Netsia and work from collaboration with Elida and Tunahan and the folks from the Netsia team, we have all the patches for the capability of the apps to be updated. We have built them in one image. This is the vOLTHA Onus image that includes all these changes. I would ask everybody to please take a look at this image and try it out in your workflows. If that is so, to make sure that it is working. I have done some preliminary tests on my environment and everything seems to be in order. But that's something that I would ask everybody to also do. I plan to integrate this in the different ONF tests that we have, both at scale and at and hardware tests. So again, please do take a look at the patches if you can, and also use the image in your value file if you're using kind vOLTHA, or just set it if you're using the vOLTHA infra charts for your workflow, so you can provide any feedback if you see anything that is wrong. I also know Hardik is progressing on the tests, and we're going to have that pretty soon done, and we're going to include this image in that test to make sure that everything is okay and we have an updated version of the apps to be used. Before we go forward, any question about this? No? Okay. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me or Elida from Netsia. Next up is a great topic that I wanted to schedule for some time. So I do thank a lot both NTT and Furukawa for committing to presenting this topic to the team. And it's the EPON support that they have put together for demo. And I'd like the folks from NTT to take the presentation rights. Takahiro, will you be the one start presenting?
Okay, let me share my screen.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you for the time of meeting today. Today we will make presentation on our contribution of EPON support. NTT and Furukawa Electric developed the vOLTHA functions to support IEEE standard PON in December last year. So today we'd like to share what we developed and show you a demo video using real OLT on new hardware. First of all, I'm going to explain what EPON support is. As we know, the current vOLTHA implementation only focuses on ITU PON and support for various vendors by switching adapters. But as the other PON technology, there is the IEEE standard PON in optical access systems. Our target is to make vOLTHA compatible with the EPON. Specifically, EPON specification is subdivided into three specifications. Package A for MSO in North America, Package B for Japanese market, and Package C for Chinese market. NTT developed Package B functions. Next, I'll share the contribution schedule until December last year. After developing tech profile part, we started to develop the OLT and ONU adapter based on vOLTHA 2.5, and we released it in December last year. Also, we developed a workflow driver named NTT Workflow Driver that achieves the automatic ONU provisioning by controlling the authentication sequence for EPON specification. This is not for our operating support system, but for general operating support system of EPON standard. And our new contributed parts are EPON adapter, package B in vOLTHA, and NTT workflow driver in XOS. We had already contributed EPON compatible tech profile in June last year. In terms of XOS, we didn't have any completed software to connect with vOLTHA 2.x. So we run our workflow driver by using several patches under development. Next, I'll briefly explain the developed EPON adapter and workflow driver. Our developed EPON adapter is composed of OLT adapter and ONU adapter, as with Open OLT and ONU adapter. Tech profile for EPON are stored in the etcd, and it is loaded into the adapter. The EPON adapter controls the OLT and ONU hardware based on the loaded profile, and we implemented the EOAM for package B, which is a management protocol of EPON. We can specify the package type of EPON by tech profile. So if the tech profile with other package type is stored in etcd, the adapter will run EOM of other package type. Also, we use TBT and Fuka Electric ONU, and so the API between vOLTHA and OLT is a TBT API. We also contributed workflow driver that supports authentication method of EPON standards. ITUT-based DT and TT workflow driver authenticates ONU's serial number in XOS, while EPON standards uses IEEE 802.1x authentication or MAC address authentication. This slide shows the workflow for EPON package B that specifies the XOS processing from the detection of ONU to activation of subscriber setting. First, when ONU ads are detected, XOS receives the ONU events, and XOS creates the entity workflow driver instance. And in parallel, IEEE 802.1 X authentication is executed between the ONOS and ONU. And then XOS receives the authentication events. If the ONU is allowed, XOS updates the instance status, and XOS enables the subscriber setting, such as Boolean tag setting and bandwidth profile setting. These are the contribution for package B NTT developed. And before I show the demo video, we will introduce the contribution of EPON package A from Furukawa Electric. Miyamoto-san, could you share the slides and start the presentation?
Yes. Okay. Can you see the title slide?
Yes, I can see.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryotaka Miyamoto from Furukawa Electric. I'd like to talk about our contribution of EPON package export. First, I'd like to start by talking about the difference among EPON packages. The chart above shows market for EPON. The ONU market for each package is, as Mr. Suzuki said earlier, package A for MSO in North America, package B for Japan, and package C for China. Our contribution supports the market in the red box. The chart below shows difference between EPON package A and package B. As for the PON management messages, special messages are needed for each of the package A and package B ONUs. For IEEE 802.1x authentication, package A is optional and supports EAPMD5, which is not implemented in our contribution. For package B, 1x authentication is required and EAPMD5 or GPSK are supported. Our contribution supports MD5. For encryption, packages support AES-128 CFB or CTL, and package B supports AES-128 GCM. This software supports encryption, but in this architecture, it is not enabled due to OLT limitations. Next, I'd like to talk about the contribution parts. As shown in the figure on the left, NTT developed EPON package B for the existing vOLTHA, while we developed package A part, allowing us to handle both package A and package B. This slide shows the architecture. A server with both and stick type TBT are connected to the L2 switch, And forecast package A and package B ONUs are connected to OLT. We can run ONU of the selected package in vOLTHA. And the communication between vOLTHA and Tibit OLT is done by Tibit API. And the communication between vOLTHA and ONU is done by EOM specific to both packages. Finally, moving on to the conclusion. This contribution expands the possibility of adapting to MSO in North America. And it is also designed to be convenient to switch upon package A and package B in the same software. Okay, thank you for listening. So moving on to the next content. I'll hand it over to Mr. Suki. Okay.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Next, I'll talk about the level of completion of our contribution. As I said in previous slide, we used the Tibit microprog OLT and Furuka ONU. And currently, the developed adapter supports vOLTHA 2.5, and the adapter don't support BBSIM for EPON, and boundaries profile and VLAN setting is possible from ONOS. Also, the adapter is compatible with EPON package A and package B by switching the tech profile. And at the moment, even if some tech profile are changed, they can't be reflected in real hardware. So we are gonna develop to make some parameter available, such as DBA parameter and AES encryption within this month. And as shown in this image, in our demo system, Tibit micro plug OLT is inserted into the L2 switch and connected with Furuka ONUs to configure PON system. The server runs our adapter and workflow driver. Okay, then let me share the demo video. Okay. All software components are already running on this server, and we can see that our vOLTHA EPON adapter is running using the Docker container, and we can see that our adapter, OLT and ONU adapter, are correctly recognized by port control adapter list. The other components related to XOS are running on Kubernetes. The reason I use both Kubernetes and Docker container is that firstly, we verify the adapter using Docker container, but we didn't find the we couldn't find any good way to run XOS using Docker container. Then we already input the most of the profile in XOS. And this is a technology profile, including the package type B. So first I'll show the demo of package type of B. And this shows the subscriber setting, such as VLAN tag setting and bandwidth profile. Also, our developed entity workflow driver includes ONF whitelist. ONF whitelist has MAC address information like this. MAC address is MAC address of whitelist is needed for package A authentication. So in this case, we don't need this information. And entity workflow driver also has a service instance. Service instance is an instance that manages the parameter related to authentication methods. When ONUs are detected, these instances appears. To provision OLT and ONU, we enter the OLT information here. And push the save button, and we can confirm the status of OLT and ONU here. And we can see that both port control device list correctly recognize the OLT, EPON OLT and ONU, and ONU events shows ONU is properly activated, and authentication events shows ONU is properly approved. We can see the same thing in XOS. We can see that OLT and ONU are correctly recognized in XOS. And entity workflow driver service instance shows the ONU is approved, and status message shows the ONU has been validated. And OLT information instance shows the OLT package. We can see that OLT package is correctly recognized like this. And we also confirm the subscriber setting is enabled by using the on setting and like this. And we also verify the user traffic between real OLT and ONU hardware by using network tester. In this demo, we confirm that the system achieves the theoretical data rate in 10G EPON system. And we verified the same thing in package type A. The only difference is that we need to enter package type A in the technology profile part. We can see that ONUs, OLT and ONUs are correctly recognized. And we can see that same thing in XOS. And OLT informations instance shows the OLT package A. And NTT workflow driver service instance shows the ONU has been validated. We also confirmed the subscriber setting is enabled in ONOS. We also confirmed the user traffic in EPON package A too, and we confirmed that the system achieved the theoretical data rate in 10G EPON. Okay, that's all for the demo. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Takahiro.
Thank you.
Yep, that was pretty good. Thanks. I'm not sure we have Andrea. No, I don't think so. Let me share my desktop until Andrea is back. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Thank you. The next topic up for discussion was the storage. So we did discuss a lot regarding the last call with respect to Redis as an alternative. So whether we need to have one instance of Redis per stack or one for the whole cluster of stacks, or we did also internally discuss, whether to have, different databases. So one for data that requires strong consistency and one that could live with eventual consistency. So what we are converging to is probably to have different databases that require different kinds of consistency, probably. one that requires strong consistency, go with etcd, and one that probably could live with eventual consistency, use Redis. And,
are we converging to that?
Yeah, but we are not. But that's actually one of the proposals that that came out of an internal discussion. But probably that's an open question here to the community. I mean, what do you folks think about this? Anyone has any comments?
David, we are internally converging. Then we need to converge
Okay.
as a community.
Okay. What do I think of that? Again, I still am not. I still think there's some issues around etcd and configuration, how we're using it, and I'm not completely convinced that with tuning, our current model wouldn't work. Maybe it will, maybe it wouldn't, and some of that does probably rely on the one-to-one and one-to-end deployment. Am I against multiple databases for the right purposes? No, not generally. As you want to use the right tool for the right job. It does increase the complexity of the deployment, having multiple data stores, including backup and restore. And that's something that we're going to have to consider. And again, if that's one-to-one, that even gets worse, because now it's one copy of a consistent data store, one copy of a eventually consistent data store per stack. That's even more complicated. And also means more utilization of resources.
Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, but if a DB cannot solve certain problems that you have in the stack, it's not good to enforce a single DB. I mean, as you said, you use the right tool for the right job. I mean, if Redis can't, if Redis does a good job in some cases and etcd does in some cases, then shouldn't be a problem, right?
It may be, and then the problem is, are we trying to do the right job, right? It's going back to evaluating the number of transactions, how we're doing data storing. For example, if we disconnect or disassociate our protobuf definition, which we're using for gRPC, with our storage definition, does that change our transaction model? And that change our data requirements? So it might be that we're asking the wrong question still. We've also tried to investigate, hey, can we persist less, right? Are we persisting more than we actually need? And if so, that also affects our data use model, or database use model. So I'm worried that we're going in a direction, and we may be able to address this regardless of whether we use strong consistency or weak consistency or eventual consistency. But we may be able to address this with some changes in architecture as well. And it might be that it's a combination. Hey, if we change the architecture, we no longer need strong consistency.
You have a valid point there. So that's why one of the exercises that I will be doing is to dump all the keys on the etcd and analyze in detail. I mean, which of those data that we are persisting on etcd requires strong consistency, or which one requires eventual consistency, and which probably need not even be stored on the DB. So yeah, that would probably give the perspective of the future course of actions.
Is that going to be documented somewhere?
Yes, and it's going to be on the same document that you put up that required,
Okay.
certain general requirements for the KV store. I think it's this
Okay.
one. No, not this one. I'm not sure if it's even here. Oh yeah, here. So I'm going to be documenting that towards the end of this document.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, probably that might give some future course of directions for the future course of actions. Let me also document that here.
When you say future course of action, does that imply that we're going to do something short term and then long term?
Definitely, that's not going to be in this release, but in the next release, of course.
I guess the question is, do we want to do that analysis before we even make a change such as one database per stack or introduction of a new database? Do we want to do the analysis before that, or are we planning to make changes to the code and then kind of do the analysis parallel to, which may lead to a change further? I guess I'm trying to understand the change management here.
Well, I can share my thoughts, but I'm open to comments from every one of you. I certainly do not want to stop what Sarkant is doing with respect to Redis. That's some good work that we need to continue, but while that work is ongoing, I'll do my analysis and share it in probably, hopefully by the next TST, and share a presentation on which requires strong and which requires eventual, and then we can take the discussion further. I mean, certain data which definitely requires strong consistency. I mean, we definitely need to make some decision with regard to that. We certainly cannot leave with Redis for such data. We certainly require something else as well.
I would agree. I don't want to stop the work from a research or investigation perspective, but are we talking about committing Redis to code, to master, before we complete the analysis?
I don't think so. Anyone has any comments regarding that?
I don't think we are committing for 2.7.
Yeah.
Because that will be way too short of a time frame.
Okay.
I think we had a lot of discussions around it. It just like it's maybe having that documentation that you mentioned, Girish, and maybe some data around it. Maybe that will clear up things, because I think there has been a lot of discussions, and I don't know if there has been a conclusion out there. Yes.
So I don't know. I think we have been talking about the etcd, Redis, and different databases for the past month without reaching consensus or really making big progresses. So maybe before taking any decision, we should wait for Girish research on which kind of data we store and why and what we actually need, so that we have some valid data points to base our decision on.
Yeah, it's really hard to make a decision without that. Any further comments on this? And thanks, David, for putting up this set of requirements.
Of course.
Yeah, Andrea has documented some proposal here. It's CD for all stack with strong consistent data, Redis for fast access data per stack, data that is okay to be eventually consistent. Yeah, I mean, this was one of the proposals that I just mentioned, but yeah, I mean, we can come to this decision once I have the data and I'll be able to share in the next call. Okay, I mean, that's all the content that we have for this meeting. Any other thoughts or comments from the community? Okay, thanks everyone for attending this meeting. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.